Peace and love, family. I'm out for a morning walk. I'm in sunny North Carolina this morning and visiting my grandbaby and her mother. And I figured I'd jump on real quick and share what's been kind of on my mind this morning about food being a weapon in this modern day. And I am just watching all the things that are transpiring in the world as it relates to so much of the systems throughout the world, not just here, but throughout the world that are being transformed. It's starting to look a whole lot different than what we recognized them to be even 2, 3, 4 years ago. So there's a lot more information coming out about Bill Gates and all of his cronies and the plan to enact some of these poisonous chemicals into the food supply. Well, more so into the fruits and vegetables. And all this is, it's a lot of evidence around it, and it's not theory anymore. And I don't even know how people still are claiming this whole conspiracy theory thing when everything that the conspiracy theorists have predicted are coming to fruition. You can see it happening right in front of our eyes. So it's like, at this point, it's pretty silly to still, not see things for what they are, basically. Whew. Ran into a spider web. I'm gonna turn around. Let me show you guys where I am. I'm in North Carolina, just visiting family, and I'm just taking a walk through the neighborhood. And I was gonna walk to the street, but I noticed it's pretty busy, so I'm gonna backtrack so you guys can hear me. Hey, Lamont, long time to hear from. Yeah, food being a weapon. And watching like dialysis clinics, for example, popping up all over the place in my neighborhood, which wasn't the case 10, 15, 20 years ago. And so how we cancer clinics, things like that. So where we don't even, it becomes so normal that it doesn't even register that this is abnormal. It's like dialysis clinics, cancer clinics, you know what I'm saying? It's like you can't find a person these days who wouldn't raise their hand when you ask, does anybody in your family have died of cancer? Usually 100% of the room hands want to go up, and it's not just one person in the family, it's several. And we've normalized this abnormalcy so much to the point where it's not even a phase. It don't even phase us no more. And we don't recognize that all of this is concocted. It's not a natural progression of life. This is a systematic, concocted scheme. And how does food play into that? Well, I was taught that 95% of all ailments derive from what we eat. 95, that's almost everything. Almost every sickness, every illness that you could imagine. The vast majority of all of them derive from what we eat. So if sickness and disease is commonplace, what are we eating? That's, to me, is just the logical question to ask. What is happening? Hey, D. Hey, Raymond. They're running out of cancer drugs. Wow. Yeah, that would be a shocker. Especially knowing how profitable the pharmaceutical industry is. You know? It's like the food industry is directly linked to the medical industry. They have a direct link. And you can tell, and you can watch it. I was just being transparent. My grandbaby, 6 years old. She's been her 6th birthday in the hospital. Appendix burst. Imagine that, right? All that pain and that baby. And so that's one of the reasons I'm here, to help her mom kind of transition through all this, and her. So yeah, she's doing better now. She's out the hospital, but she spent like 2 weeks in the hospital, family. A 6-year-old baby for a burst appendix. Come on. What are we doing here? 95% of all ailments derive from what we eat. And I've been battling her whole life long. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm so friendly in the South. So friendly. Everybody's just so much more friendly than up north. But anyway, so I've been battling with them about the diet scenario, but you know how that goes. My daughter's young. She does her best. You know, she's raising her daughter alone because Zenora, my grandbaby's father, was killed not even a year ago. And so she, you know, so she's doing her best. She's a working mom, and, you know, with a young child, and they live 4 hours away from me. And so, you know, life, you know, so, you know, the diet is not the most ideal. And so here we are, which drove me to, on my heart to even share all this today, because I know this is not just happening in my own family. It's an epidemic, family. It's an epidemic. And I don't think we have the proper understanding of our enemies, and that we have enemies to our life. Just like a gazelle has a natural enemy in the wild, they can't just go frolicking around and carefree and footloose. They always have to be on the watch and on the lookout for the lion in their midst, because they understand just by sheer nature that if they're not on the lookout for their enemies, that day could be their very last day on earth. It's the same with us. Everything in nature has an opposing force. Everything. And I think we've been systematically conditioned mentally to not see that. Us as a people, I'm speaking of. The vast majority of us. Because I know there's some of us out there. Hey, D, Raymond, Timothy. There's some of us out there who understand clearly that we better recognize our enemies and who they are and how they operate. You better, if you want to continue on in this life. So anyway, food as a weapon. Let me try to stay on course. So now we understand, those of us who keep our ears to the ground, and those of us who pay attention and gather information. You know, that's why we're here. Everybody is here for particular reasons and purposes, and we have our missions and we have our passions and things, and they're all different for different reasons. And so one of my passions is information gathering, you know, because I recognize that knowledge is power. And, you know, the more you know and the more you understand the world around you, the better protected you are, the more prepared you are for the future, the better you are in navigating the terrain, all that stuff. So that's one of the things, that's one of my passions. So based on my study and my research, my observation, the vast majority of foods that we eat have been weaponized against us. It's not a cyanide kill. It's not take one bite and boom, you're dead. You know what I'm saying? Not for the wickedly wise. They understand that it has to be a slow, steady, gradual process towards their goal. And they're very patient. And so, yeah. So now the cancer rate 30 years ago was, I'm just throwing out numbers just for statistics sake, but 30 years ago the cancer rate was 1 in 1,000. And now today it's 1 in 100. What's happening? What's happening? Why is obesity? Why is when you turn on the TV in the 70s and the Soul Train comes on and all that stuff, and you watching everybody in the audience dancing, and you would be hard pressed to find one person overweight. Not just on TV, but just in general public. Think back to when you was younger. How many of your friends were overweight? That was a rarity. Now, fast forward to today. More people are overweight than not. I think it's something like 6 out of 10. On that. Are you there, family? Are y'all still with me? Let me know, because it just popped up saying I had poor service, my wire connection. So I'm turning around and going back the other way. I think I'm going too far out of the zone. But anyway, I was saying food being weaponized and overweight. So now here we are. More people than not are overweight, and we normalize that. You know? And I think that we really need a slap in the face with some ice cold water. Really. Because people are dying, family. People are dying. You know, the quality of life has dropped so low, and nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody just wants to just pretend that life is just grand. Oh, don't worry about it. Just all the, you know, and then I'm hearing a lot of, ain't nothing we can do about that, so you might as well just let the good times roll. With all due respect, family, I think that is very ignorant. That's a very ignorant statement, because every problem on earth has a solution. And those who go in search of the solution usually find it. You know, but when you when you trick your mind into believing, oh well, there's nothing I can do about this, then then there's nothing you will do about it. It's not that nothing can be done, it's that you have decided that you're not going to do nothing. Everybody just wants to mind their business and just be happy, just be joyful. In the meantime, we all going to hell in a rocket ship. Meantime, the shit go from bad to worse. And in the meantime, we raising children up in this stench. So in my mind, that tells me we really don't care that much about our future, our own future. So if we don't care that much about our own future, what does that say about how we feel about ourselves? It all goes back to the self. It all goes back to the self. I don't care how far you think you can get away from it. But how we live, how we eat, how we communicate, the things we believe, who we put our trust in, all that go back to how you feel about yourself. And so, yeah, family, I just, again, you guys know me, those who pay attention to my shares, to my lives, and I appreciate you guys, those who do tune in and give me feedback, that every now and again, I'll just have a pressing issue on my heart that I feel a strong desire to share. And so here I am, just talking about food being a weapon as I take my morning walk, this time in sunny North Carolina, visiting family. And so, yeah, what can we do? There's plenty that can be done. People have been telling me here lately, "AlQamar, you losing weight. You losing weight." I'm like, yeah. It's really not by choice. It's really not by choice, family. A lot of it is that I'm scared. A lot of it is that I'm scared to eat. That's real talk. That's real talk. I've been like the things that I eat has been minimized, shrunk so much because I understand what's happening around me. I understand that our enemies are hard at work, and they pretty much dominated the food industry. Anytime you can walk into any standard grocery store or anywhere in this country, and it has 15, 16, 17 rows of aisles of nothing but processed foods, packaged goods. You know what I'm saying? When you stop to really consider that, my God, what are we eating, family? I hesitate to even call it food. Because the vast majority of what we eat is not natural. It's not naturally grown from a tree and plucked and placed on your table. That's a rare occurrence in this day. Those who go out of their way to make that happen. There's always exceptions to every rule. So yeah, there's those who go out of their way to make that happen. But the vast majority, we're not eating like that anymore. We eat packaged goods, carbohydrates, fake sugar, granulized, processed sugars, and you name it. Just read the back of the instructions. You guys know what I mean. All of it, everything, the vast ingredients of everything we eat ain't got nothing to do with natural foods. It's all chemical based, created in labs. Hence why they packaged up to begin with. And when you start digging into how these things are made, when you start watching, my sister Mayasa just sent me something the other day, a clip about how they make processed meat, patties, hamburger patties, turkey patties, things like that they ship off to fast food restaurants. Family, it's like they said, like about 5% of what's in it is actually meat. Everything else that they put in it is chemicals to make it taste like meat. So when you think about, like, consider all the billions of people in this country. Let's just take America for example. I think it's something like 356 million people in the country. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. That's, I think I'm right. And so there's a fast food restaurant, They're near every corner of this landmass. Wherever you go, you can drive a highway from Maine to California, and wherever you stop on the stopway, you're gonna find some fast food restaurants, right? And so for the most part, they all serving the same thing: chicken sandwiches, hamburgers, beef sandwiches, or hot dogs or whatever, for the vast majority. And so you got all these millions and millions of people eating this stuff every day, sometimes 2-3 times a day, right? Where is all these cows and chickens coming from? You tell me. So, and that's just fast food restaurants. We ain't even going into the grocery stores and the sit-down restaurants and things like that. We ain't even touching that. We just talking fast food in particular. But if you want to add all the rest, okay, let's add all the rest. Where is all these chickens and cows coming from? When you stop to think critically about it, how is it even possible? Because so you then have to know that what you're eating is not a whole chicken and a whole cow. They don't even have enough chickens and cows to go around to feed all these people. Whole chickens and 100% beef and full, you know what I'm saying, and all that stuff. So what are you eating? And so when you stop to consider that, then you have to ask, why are cancer centers and high blood pressure and heart disease and diabetes, and why is all that commonplace? Now it's gut issues, you know what I'm saying, fibroids, you name the ailment, and I'll tell you 95% of everything we deal with derives from what we eat, what we put in our mouths. And so if we're eating from the kitchen of our enemies, and our enemies' main purpose here on this earth is to destroy, is to seek and destroy. And we're eating from their kitchen, which is a laboratory. Then what naturally is going to happen to us? So what do? The solution is simple. It's basic. It's as basic as these trees. It's as simplicity as this ground. And that big boulder rock over there. And the birds you hear in the background. The solution is just that basic. We got to get back to nature, family. We got to get back to the source of good. We got to get back to that which keeps us healthy, keeps us whole, keeps us sane, keeps us grounded. You know? We gotta grow our own foods. And I know for a lot of us that live the city life, that can be a challenge. Not impossible. When you convince yourself that it's not possible, you won't do it. When you decide, when you decide in your mind, oh, I live in an apartment, so I can't do that. Boom, instantly you have concluded that it won't be done. Meanwhile, there's ample of people who live in apartments that's growing their own food, right? So we gotta first have the will to survive. The desire has to be to survive, have to be stronger than our self-doubt. And it's always a battle. It's a constant battle, and we all go through it. Me too. Me too. We all go through them self-doubt periods where we talk ourselves out of what we really know to be right and righteous for our lives. And we make excuses for ourselves, and we say things like, I can't do that because this and this and that. Well, there's some people who live in an apartment who don't even have a balcony, but they take their butts out a couple times a week to a plot of land that they have, what do they call those lands that you can go and rent? Community farming. And they got their little corner of community farming, and that's what they do. You know, and it's happening more and more and more and more. I think the more and more of us wake up to the understanding of what's actually happening out here, the more we get motivated to actually do something, make moves for our own lives, and not wait around for somebody else to save us. And so I'm watching it more and more. I even in my own neighborhood, last week I was driving through my own neighborhood, and I recognized, and I've been living in that neighborhood for over 10 years, and I recognized that more and more of my neighbors are growing their own foods. I'm looking, you know, I'm nosy anyway, so I'm looking in the backs, and I'm like, oh, they growing corn. He growing corn, and I'm looking furthermore. I'm like, oh, she over here. You know, I recognize that crop. That's a vegetable crop. That's kale. You know what I'm saying? So I'm noticing, even with my own two eyes, that more and more and more of even my own direct neighbors, where they weren't before, are growing their own foods. And I think that's what's going to happen, and what's going to have to happen. And then what happens is, what I'm learning is that I can't do it all, because I started, like, the first couple of years of me growing, I wanted to grow everything. I had like 20 crops, different crops growing in my raised garden bed, and I quickly learned that that's not the most productive way to do it. I think the most productive way in this day and time is to do your foods community based. So my goal is to grow 1 or 2 crops and grow them in abundance. And then once those crops sprout, it's going to be definitely going to be too much for me to eat on my own. So now I have enough to barter, to swap, to share with my neighbors and other people. Hey, just jump on this. Hey, you know, I'm in this certain area. Who growing cucumbers that they can share, you know, some. I have tomatoes plenty, so if you need tomatoes in your home, I can use cucumbers. Let's meet up, let's swap. I think those are kind of the things that we need to get back to, family. We need to get back to growing our own foods. We need to get back to supporting our local farmers, because they are being targeted. They are definitely being targeted. If you're paying attention, you know what I mean. They're making it more and more difficult for them to have a livelihood. You know what I'm saying? Because the goal, family, is to own nothing and be happy. That's what our enemies want for our lives. You know what I'm saying? So they don't want you growing your own food. They don't want you owning your own home. They don't want you having the whole, you know, pastures of land. You know? No, they burning you out. They burning you out. They're corralling the people. I mean, you name any facet of, we could go on how, you know, any avenue of freedom that you've been accustomed to having, whether it's in finances, whether it's owning property, whether it's educating yourself on whatever you want to know about, you name it. Any facet of freedom that you've been accustomed to having in this society, and the walls are closing in, because our enemies are hard at work. Because what they want is slaves. They want a nation of slaves, and they're killing folks, family, left and right. People are out of here. You take it or leave it alone. It don't matter to me no more whether you understand it or not. Because it ain't like if you believe it or not, because it's like the truth, the evidence, and the facts is all around us. It's that many of us have closed our ears, like the monkey, the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Many of us have become like those monkeys. We don't want to hear it. And so we suffer the consequences of our ignorance. You know what I'm saying? It's like walking It's like walking in the middle of a traffic with blindfolders on, because you don't want to hear it. So good luck with that. Hey, Sean. Hey, Brett. Hey, Tony. Danielle, sis, I gotta holler at you. Where you been? I've been missing you. Yeah, D. Yeah, she's doing a lot better though. But yeah, so I have to have a hard talk with my daughter. Because we gotta understand. We gotta understand what we're up against if you want to survive this thing. I call it the bottleneck. You're going through the bottleneck process. And this is the beginning of sorrows. We see nothing yet, family. My father was a seer. My father was a seer. He was a gifted man and a very wise man. Very wise man. And he used to tell me things about this day all the time. He used to talk about this day. This day was coming. And with clear and concise examples. And I'm watching so much of what he predicted coming to fruition today. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for having that man in my life, because he kind of prepared me. You know, he prepared me for these days. And this is the beginning of sorrow. And it ain't just him. I mean, you know, he took his wisdom from other wise people. You know, he was a direct. He was taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, and he kept his head in them books, both books, the Holy Quran and the Bible. You know, he taught me a lot about how to navigate them books, especially the Bible. You know, it wasn't lost on him that Bible was tampered with. He just tell me that. He would warn me that. Yeah, basically, I'm not going into that, but he told me that the Bible was tampered with, but you gotta know what you're doing when you go up in it. Because if not, you find yourself all discombobulated, or so many of us out there now that just they don't understand to the point where they just want to throw the whole thing away without realizing that it's a lot of instruction in that book, and it's a lot of wisdom in that book, and it's a lot of revealing in that book, revelation. All you gotta do is read it. You read Revelations alone, and go outside, or read Revelations alone and go outside, and you'll see how accurate that book can be. But you gotta know how to read it. You gotta know how to read it, you know, and everybody don't. So, you know, anyway, food being a weapon. Hey, CC. Good morning, sis. So be careful, family. I'm not gonna, you know, spend too much more time on here. Just, again, it was on my heart to share, and I just want you guys to, let me see it, the sun. No, this is a better. Yeah, this is definitely better. I'm trying to fight against the sun, as you can see. Be careful. Be careful out there, family. Know that there would not be such a heavy resistance to your rise if you weren't so great. If you weren't so, my gosh, divine. If you weren't so brilliant. You gotta know this about yourself. And so that's the very reason why you have so many enemies all over the world. We're all over the world, wherever we are in the world. We have to fight. Because our enemies understand who we are much better than we do. And they understand, they give us an equal playing field. We don't even need no advances. We don't need no head starts. We don't need none of that. All we need is an equal playing field. Give us an equal playing field with everything else being equal. We don't prove that we just as good. We prove that we're better in every way. And you got to know this about yourself, family. It's not being arrogant and haughty and none of that. It's the truth. And we ain't got nothing to do with that. That was how we were created. You know? We are the original people of this planet. And if the Creator created us in His own likeness, and we were the first creations in His own likeness, then we, by sheer nature, have the closest connection to the Creator. So that gives us an advantage. And those who understand this and don't have that advantage hate us for it. And so they go and they do everything humanly possible to keep their foot in our necks. And because we are so closely connected to the Creator, we have the heart of God, goodness, righteousness. You know, of course, we do negative things and bad things, and of course, by sheer circumstance. But naturally, in its natural force, we are the closest force for good on earth. And so because of that, we really can't see the depths of Satan. We really can't fathom it. We can't understand it clearly because our minds don't even go there. Don't go there because we weren't created to even think in that fashion. So when we hear certain things, it's unbelievable. What do you mean? They're taking children, doing all manner of things with babies. And that thought is so foreign that we can't even imagine that there's people on earth that could actually gain pleasure in harming babies in the worst kind of way. And so because we are so disconnected to that type of evil, we don't see it. And so we move blindly, and we're naive, and we trust our enemies with our lives. And so we go and do things like allow them to stick us with needles full of poison and call it a solution to a cold. Yeah, that's real talk. Saladin, my spiritually gifted brother. Let me get you in here. I see you were saying something. Give me a second, family, because whenever I go on this stream to read your comments, they like disappear. Absolutely, beloved. The food has been weaponized against the people. Absolutely. That's the main conversation. Seriously, what can we really eat anymore? Yeah, Danielle. That's why we have to rely and depend on our own capabilities. And we have them. We have done them. Our ancestors, it's in us. Our ancestors have been propagating this earth for millions of years, family. And seek and ye shall find. And it's really not as difficult as we think. Believe you me, because I thought the same thing. It took me like 3 years from making up my mind that this is something I need to do, start growing my own food, to actually doing it, because I had convinced myself that it was difficult. It's really not. It's work involved like anything else. It's work involved, but it's not. The desire to live in nature, the desire to live and grow and sprout is astronomical. It's astronomical. Yeah. So it's really not difficult. It's just, it's labor intense, and then certain crops are more intense than others. So you can grow certain things that grow easier than others. So I hesitate to even call it labor intense. It's just that, we have to commit ourselves. That's all. We have to commit ourselves to doing something different than what we are doing now. If not, we're just we find ourselves spiraling even further downward. Processed sugar and salt, everything's processed. Yes, Timothy, we are at war. We have to know this. We have to know this. And a lot of us want to stick our heads in the sand, and we do that by entertaining ourselves. We entertain ourselves away from the reality of our existence. So instead of having these serious kind of conversations, Timothy, we tune this out and we go put on the game. Or we tune this out and we go put on a movie. Or we go to the water park. Or we go, you know what I'm saying? You name it. You name what we do for entertainment's sake to clear our mind. I get that, and I'm not saying that entertainment don't have its purpose in life. You know, my God, I love being entertained myself. You know what I'm saying? I love entertaining. I love throwing events. But I understand balance. There's a balance in everything. So if you are actually escaping reality through entertainment, then you just setting yourself up for a fall, for a hard fall, because you won't have the proper knowledge to maneuver in tough terrain. You won't have the proper knowledge. So when the stuff really start hitting the fan, really, you know what I'm saying? Those who have the proper balance and have educated themselves enough to be aware of what's transpiring, now they know what they need to do when that time comes. But you know, they moving in a different way, and in a whole nother way than somebody who is just being entertained and blocking out reality and truth and don't want to hear it. Because when the time comes for you to really navigate the tough terrain, you ain't gonna know what to do. You're gonna be lost in the sauce. You're gonna be clueless, and that's why the vast majority who are doing that are finding themselves up out of here. You know, it ain't it. This is just the beginning. So if you value your life, if you value your lineage, if you want to carry on your gene pool, you know what I'm saying? If you put here on earth to live and not die, you know, so everything in nature. Well, like I just got finished talking about how even the plants and the fruits and the vegetables are will to survive. You know what I'm saying? You chop off half the damn tree and you come back a week later and it grew back. Why? Because that's a natural, innate desire to live. We have it. Unless something wrong, unless something seriously wrong in your mind. So if you don't have that natural desire to live, then something's wrong. Something happened to you that caused you to be off skelter. Am I saying that right? Yeah. So, yeah, we are at war. And so if you ain't prepared for the war, then you prepared to die. That's just real talk. You preparing for your grave. And to say that nothing you could do about it is that's a lie we tell ourselves. That's a lie we tell ourselves because we're too lazy to even consider what the possibilities are. And there's always solutions, usually more than one, to every problem on earth. But when we conclude, oh well, ain't nothing we can do about that, ain't nothing gonna be done. And that's why we find ourselves in this predicament. Let me go back to the bar. Hey Leslie. This thing, I tell y'all. Much love, thank you, Mubuya. I'm trying to get you in, Solidine. I see you had something to say, but like I said, it's hard. Wild chemistry. We are eating from the kitchen of our enemies. Exactly. Yeah. And their kitchen is a laboratory. Their kitchen is a lab. The pharmaceutical industry lab, you know, where they go and they get them mice and them monkeys and all that stuff and things that have the closest DNA to humans, and they get to read nowadays. Shit, they got so many secret labs. They got so many secret labs we don't even know about. What you think they doing in them labs? They show you the monkeys and they show you the mice, the white mice. By the way, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But they show us that. But they got labs all over this place that you one and you can't even get to the front gate without guardsmen, armed guardsmen, coming out to you and asking you, what do you want here? What is your purpose here? No, you can't come past this fence. Go back. In laboratories, family, we got to wake up. Anything kept in the dark like that, you got to know it's nefarious. Here we go, Salim. Yes, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we believe the truth of the Bible, but we believe it has been tampered with and must be reinterpreted so that mankind will not be snared by the falsehoods that's been added to it. Absolutely. When you understand we have enemies, and they've always been. Say nothing new. These enemies been around for eons. You know, when you read that Bible, when you read that Bible and understand it, it'll tell you who your enemy is. Same enemy back then, that when that Bible was written, is the same enemy that's happening, that's carrying on today. And it's the same bloodline. They make sure that they keep their bloodline pure throughout centuries. You know, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day, though, family. So yeah, they use every manner of whatever we hold sacred and dear. They turn it and use it as a weapon against us. And the Bible is no different. The Bible is no different. So you gotta know that they went into that Bible and manipulated it and made you believe that it's holier than thou. And it's the word of God and all that. And then, but some of the things that's being written in it go completely against your spirit. Completely against what you know to be proper and right and sane. You know what I'm saying? But you skip past those things because somebody up on the pulpit told you that, you know, this was the word of God. No, we got to be critical, family. We got to be critical. You better be critical in your thinking in this day and time. Well, they got you. They got you right where they want you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you got to know that that Bible, like everything else we hold sacred and dear, has been tampered with. Because it wasn't written by them. It wasn't created by them. They took it like everything else. We are the creators. We are the creators. They took what we've created for good and for righteous purpose and meaning and reason, and they manipulated it for their own benefit. And everything they do is evil and demonic and satanic and wicked. And so you got to know that there's some things in that Bible you better be careful of. You better be careful of. Because they have a slave Bible downtown. It's not even hidden. They don't even hide nothing. What they did, they say it out publicly because they understand that the vast majority, like 90% of the population, it don't matter anyway. They can tell you right to your face what they doing to you and you won't believe it. And they know this, so they understand this. They understand that the veil is there, and so they know that they could put it out there without having too much backlash. And so yeah, they, you know, it ain't, none of this stuff is here. They got a Bible museum downtown DC. You know, don't take my word for it. Go look. Go see for yourself. And within that museum, they have a book on display for public display for your own eyes to see and read for yourself. The slave Bible, where they show you where they, you know, changed passages and added things to and took things out to make the enslaved African here in America more docile. So when they read that book, they will feel like, you know, love thy enemy. If a man come and take your coat, steal your coat, you run, chase after him, give him your pants. You know, somebody slap you on your cheek, you turn around, you give him the other cheek to slap. that your heaven is waiting for you after you die. You know, that oh, just wait on the Lord, just wait on a messenger who has transitioned on thousands of years ago. Wait for him to come back to save you from all your heartache and pain and anguish. Family, we gotta be critical thinkers in this day and time, because if not, you could consider yourself amongst those who have an early expiration date. And I don't say that with any joy in my heart. That's just real. Yeah, Saladin, thank you for sharing. Piper singing the tune, and you walking right along into the tune that they want you, where they want you, because you don't know no better. These are difficult. Trying to get you in, Leslie. These are difficult combos that our people don't want to have. Yeah, and only a select few will take heed. It ain't, you know, I'm not under any naive assumption that even the vast majority, even those who maybe even watching, you know, it's real talk, that they, you know, it's for entertainment's sake for most people. They don't take it to heart. You know that by the conditions of our lives. You know who's serious about this life, and you know who not by the condition of our lives, of our individual lives. That's real talk. So, yeah, I'm not under any false assumption that the vast majority of people who come across information like this, they don't. They keep going. They keep going. But that's just how it's been, how it's always been. You know, when you study history, you start to have that level of understanding. That's like, I don't even take it personal, because I understand. I understand that there's only a small percentage of people who maneuver differently. The vast majority, this is Satan's world. You know, and they don't know. You know, they don't know that they helping to destroy. They helping Satan. They don't get that. They because they tune out. But, you know, I don't have all the answers, and I don't understand, and I'm not the one who lifts the veil. You know, none of us do. We don't have that power. You know, I'm of mind that the Almighty chooses whom He pleases. You know, so yeah. Yeah. Some people making money off our people ignorance. A lot of us are. That's what we do. We become so addicted to that money, you know. And it's not so much the money; it's the comforts of what the money brings us. I understand and I get it, you know what I'm saying. And I used to be one. That's how I understand it so well. And I can, you know, I used to be one of those who paper chased. You know what I'm saying? And I look back at that, and I realize how much of the beautiful things in life that I missed out on with that mindset, thinking that was the most important thing in life. You know, when my best friend Leslie would tell you, she remind me all the time. Me and her, we've been friends for about 30 years. And she remind me all the time. She said, I remember your goal was you wanted to be a millionaire by the time you turned 40. Yeah, that was my goal. And I was actively moving towards it, you know? And when I look back at that now, and with a deeper understanding, and I look back at all the things, all the beautiful things in life the things that really hold value in life, the genuinely quality things in life, how many that I miss out on by chasing that dollar, you know? So it's a trade-off. It really is. It's a trade-off. And it's like, and the more you get, the more you want. That, again, is a natural. That's the natural progression of greed and gluttony. It's a natural progression of greed and gluttony. We don't know it this way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this to deter anybody who have goals of, you know, getting the bag and all that stuff. That's your life. You know, I'm just telling you from my own life experience. I'm just sharing with you what I recognize and what I had to live through, and what I know now. And despite now me still being able to manifest whatever I want in life, whatever I desire, I'm able to manifest without knowing that I don't have to chase a dollar to do it. That I have that power to manifest whatever I want in life. And that dollar is a tool. Understanding that now, it's just a tool. That money thing, we put too much emphasis on that dollar, that man-made, constructed system that's about to change again, all over again. You know what I'm saying? And when you realize that who's dangling them carrots, you know, when you realize that, like, the monetary system in general was built and is systematically running by a family. Think about that. A family. Not a government entity. It's not ran, you know, the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is not a government institution, family. That's a private citizens created this monetary system that we have. Again, I'm not gonna go. That's a whole, again, I can go on and on about those type of things, but I won't. But Toya, there you go. Just watch. Let's just read Toya's comment, and she concludes the whole matter. Yeah, Toya, it's all about the power. And anything man create, anything that was man made has an end point, has a beginning, and it has an end point. This monetary system is no different. So that's my point. So you get caught up in chasing this bag, gotta have a dollar, gotta have a dollar. When somebody else has the power to snatch the whole thing from up under you, whenever they see fit, whenever they ready, they can turn up the notch on inflation and say, okay, well, that dollar in your pocket now is only worth a quarter. And they have the power to do that at will. Or they can take the machines and say, okay, no more money being created. No more $20, $100 bills and all that stuff. Them printing machines used to run 24/7, 365. Stop. No more. Cut them off. Somebody else has the power to do that. So when you understand, really understand, get down to the heart of the matter of what it is we dealing with, you start maneuvering differently. You start seeing if you value freedom, if you value your freedom, you start maneuvering differently. You're like, wait a minute, that's a whole lot of power in the hands of a family. It's a whole lot of power. So what do I need to do to take my power back? And when we really start to getting to know who we are a lot better, when we really start to gaining the knowledge of ourselves, we start manifesting whatever we want, because we understand that we have that power. We have that power. I don't need your tools to do what I need to do, because I have a higher power that goes even above those family members, those families who create all kind of systems that keep them a lot powerful than the vast majority of people on earth. That's the goal. The goal is to reign and rule over you. And they do that by using all those systems. The financial institutions and the food supplies and, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff. But anyway, I'm rambling now, family. One Africa says, yeah, Toya, check out my Facebook page, Moving to Africa from America. I welcome. It's an open group. I've had some pushback here lately, some people wanting me to close the group up, but I'm refusing. I don't want to do that because it's been too long. We've been held back from the knowledge of who we are for far too long to be like just pinpoint. I don't really even like being in groups that are private. You know, that's just me. You know, shout out to y'all who even create the groups and you do it however you see fit. But for me, I don't particularly care for them kind of groups because I feel like whatever we need to do in this day and time, it needs to be widespread. It needs to be shared across the world. We need to know. We need to get the information. We don't need to be closing ourselves off to just a select few people. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's a public group, and you know, it's open, it's wide. We got some folks in there that, you know, every now and again I got to get rid of, but for the most part, the information is wide open. Moving to Africa from America, and maybe you're not even interested in doing that, but still go and tune in because it'd be some good information being shared in the group. So yeah, I feel you, sis. I'll be back on the continent, God willing. I'll be back on the continent this October. Yeah, and put down some root. That's where my spirit guides have been guiding me. You know, it's been guiding me overseas. It's time to take this thing global. You know what I'm saying? This whole world belongs to us, and it really does. And we have so many options. That's another thing that I noticed in recognizing so many of us. We feel depleted because we really believe that this is it. Ain't nothing else we can do. We got to just deal with it. We got to go through this, and you know, ain't no other way out, no other options. That's not true. That's not true. You open your mind up, you realize there's many myriad of different ways to remove yourself from all this insanity. You can't run from the beast because the beast tentacles span all across the world. But there are other avenues and options. There are alternatives to just sitting in a pot of water that's boiling slowly like a frog. There's a lot more alternatives than to just do that. So yeah, so I'll be putting down roots. Got some good folks over in East Africa that's helping, that's been assisting me in reaching my goals, even on this side. You know, they putting some things in play. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for the love and the support, because I can't do it alone. You know, and the way I see it is that my mission is to go and prepare the way, like those who are there now. For those of you who in a minute gonna be scrambling for an exit. That's coming, family. And I'm not no doomsday. I don't even like to predict. I don't even like predictions, but that's just based on common sense knowledge and paying attention. In a minute, there's gonna be a lot of folks scrambling for an exit because the demons are busy. So yeah, I'll be over in Africa putting down some roots. And shout out to those of you who are already there, putting down roots and preparing the way, paving the way for the rest of us. That's like them going through the jungles with one of them big machetes, and somebody in front chopping down all that brush and greenery and stuff and making a path. They got a whole crew of people behind them just walking in their path. But those ones who out front with the machetes, those are courageous ones. That takes courage. That's uncharted course. That takes courage. So shout out to those of you guys over there that's paving the way to even allow me to even come and, the few times that I've been, I was able to better navigate because of those who are already there and that have with their machetes. So I appreciate you guys. All right, family. The ship's sinking. Y'all keep pulling me back in with your comments. The ship is sinking. We're going back to the natural way Most High created. Absolutely, Toya. That's the balance. Yeah, it's not all gloom and doom. Thank you for sharing that. And I'll end it on that note. Thank you. You're right. It's all a balance. It's all a yin and a yang. Everything has an opposite. What goes up must come down. What goes in must come out. If whatever amount of evil is in the world, best believe that same amount of good is here. So it's all in balance. So yes, you're absolutely right. We are. It seems all gloom and doom, but it's for a higher and a greater purpose. And so when it's all said and done, prepare yourselves for what this earth was really created for. Peace and harmony and goodwill and love and support and connectiveness and collectivity. And I'm watching it. I'm watching it happen right in front of my eyes. Both sides. I'm watching the destruction and I'm watching the rebuild happen both simultaneously, all at the same time, the yin and the yang. So it's all in perspective. So thank you, Toya, for reminding me of that and sharing that with us. And thank you guys so much for tuning in and always sharing and showing love and support and, all that stuff. Hey, Queen, take care of each other out there. Peace.